Good morning, folks. Welcome to a new episode of Cruising with the Songsteads. It's been a while since I've had a video because, quite frankly, there hasn't been anything to post. There hasn't been any updates. But hey, we got a new update, and now it's time to give it a run. Looks like the software was updated to 2025 14.6. And that also updated full self-driving to 13.2.9. And so this will be the first trip with this software. And so I have to make a run into the dentist this morning. It's, I don't know, roughly 20-mile drive. And let's see if we can do this without any interventions. Now, I've kind of tactfully placed myself facing a building because I want to have it start on its own. So I want it to back out of the spot, find the highway, and do what it needs to do. So let's see. Okay, so let's. Okay, so there it's backing out of the spot on its own. Really confident, actually. That's pretty impressive. It's a grocery store here. And let's see what it does. If it just goes around the parking lot, it can see the lines for the parking stalls. And yeah, it seems to be doing just fine there. Probably wouldn't have signaled there. Probably not needed. If I was driving, I definitely wouldn't have done it. But I've often said that FSD in many ways is goody two-shoes. It's going to follow the law way more closely than you and I would. So here we have a right turn on a red light. It should be sneaking out there. There it goes. It should be sneaking out here a little bit. It's not going to wait for it to turn green. But stopped at the white line. And now it's going to wait for a spot. This is pretty busy this time of the morning. So it could take a minute here to find a spot. Now I know with the last, 13.2.8 FSD, it seemed to be way more aggressive as far as finding spots. So if it needed to find a hole, it would find it, and it would actually accelerate pretty aggressively to get out of that, to get going. So there it goes, found a spot, and we are on our way. The confidence that full self-driving has now after version 13 is quite impressive. I use full self-driving now for, I bet you, 90% of my driving. At least 90%, maybe more. It's not that I don't like driving, it's just that well, I like testing it, first of all. It's fun kind of putting it through its paces. And that just takes a little bit of, edge off. I've had a few situations where cars, if I would have been driving, there was a chance they would have ran into me, that the car would not have detected it, and they would have run into me. And some of those videos are on my YouTube channel. What I like a lot about FSD is that it really does manage the following distance properly. Like, I don't know if when you're driving, if you've ever been going down the road and then all of a sudden it just dawns on you that, yeah, I'm following this car way too close. FSD just seems to eliminate that altogether. There's still a little bit of strangeness and a couple speed zones where I think that it could probably drop the speed. I'll be able to show you that up here in 5-6 miles. It goes from 55 zone to a 35, and while I'm not really pushing it to be Mr. Goody Two Shoes, in some places it should be, and in some places it could probably back off a little bit. But the speed limit thing is really is a little crazy, because it'll run 55, 60 miles an hour long past the speed limit drop signs, the reduction sign. So it's doing good here. I think I sense a little less lane drift with 13.2.9. It seemed like that increased a little bit with the last 13 in, this is a 2025 Model Y. There it caught a bunch of cars stopping in front of us pretty quickly. Yeah, I would almost say it's a little slow to react in that case, which then created a little more aggressive of a slowdown than probably needed to. Flung my water off the seat. You always wonder when that happens, when you just have a whole line of traffic just slow down, and seemingly it's for nothing. It's like all of a sudden everything just slows down and there's nothing in the road. Really isn't any reason for it. Kind of here again. We're slowing down here again. That one it did way better. Now, I don't know if any of you have noticed, and comment in the comment sections down below if you have, but is your auto wipers been working okay? For the most part they seem fine, but like right now they should just probably be on a little faster. It is using the cameras to drive right now. It is using the cameras to drive right now, and it probably should be wiping a little bit faster. And then it is also kind of weird because once in a while you'll just get like a random wipe, just out of, it's a sunny day, and maybe I've noticed one pattern is that you're going into like some trees, like a road that has a lot of trees around it, and then all of a sudden you'll have it'll have a wipe, just one wipe, and then be done, and then it won't do it again. So I don't know what that's. I'm actually not sure what causes that. Now we're going to be coming into Monroe here in another, mile and a half or so. And normally I go straight through Monroe, and it's pretty important that it stay in that left lane. There's so there's a right lane. So it's a 4-lane road, two lane, 2-way, and the left lane just goes straight through town both ways. The right lanes on either direction actually ends at some point, and then you have a pinch point, and these are very, very famous pinch points. In fact, I was in an accident at one. Someone actually ran me off the road in one of those pinch points once. I actually had an accident there, and so I'm a little bit sensitive to getting stuck in that right lane and having to merge in. And so in the morning when I'm going to work, you always want to stay in that left lane, even though it's slow traffic, keep right, blah, blah. You want to stay in that left lane through town so you never get caught up in that pinch point. And this thing just always goes in that right lane. And then I just manually signal to get out of it. But then sometimes it tries it again. Uh, it may be 500 feet in front of us and it's going to go in that left lane again. So that is definitely something that needs to be fixed. Okay, so here we go. Well, gosh, there's enough traffic today that it's not going to be a big deal. But there was the sign, speed limit ahead. There was the sign, speed limit ahead there. And down here a little bit further, right now we have the posted speed limit of 35. And the car will run 55, 60 miles an hour to that sign. It doesn't seem to recognize. So this is that left-right lane thing. Today, it turns out we are going to turn off in this right lane, so it's doing the right thing. But on a normal day when I'm going to work, it should stay in that left lane right now, all the way through this town, and it just fights to do it. I manually hit the signal to get it in that left lane, and it literally tries to move right back out of it. So that's a little annoying. That stuff has to be fixed, I think, before you ever went full self-driving unsupervised. I will say, though, that 13.2.9 so far, at least first impression, we've only went 8 miles or so, 8.8 miles, but it does seem more smooth. It seems less lane drift, which really was a problem in my Model Y, 2025 Model Y. Not the new one, but it is titled as a 2025, so it's the last gen, the last of the last gen. I got it in December. So far, though, the drive here in town today seems perfectly confident, handling everything as it seems to always have, but it does feel more smooth. It feels the stop and the stops seem smoother. So we'll just have to drive this some more here and see. It's when we get on highway, we're going to turn off of Highway 2 up here in, I don't know, 3/4 of a mile or so. We're going to turn off Highway 2 and we're going to turn on Highway 522. And that's a 2-lane, pretty fast road. And it also has a pinch point in it for us. And then at the end of this drive, now speaking of wipers, right now these wipers should be swiping. And so the auto wipers are on. That was too much water on the screen. I was having problems seeing through the windshield. There, it seems to have picked it up a little bit. Anyway, at the end of this drive, before I get to my dentist, we're actually going to be in downtown Woodinville, which I think for a normal person in the route that we're going can create some anxiety for driving, especially if the roads are busy this morning, which typically they are on a Saturday morning. People heading out shopping and getting going for the day. Now up here, it's going to need to signal and get over, which it does flawlessly. I do have a car behind me that is trying to run me over, a little white truck there. And so hopefully he keeps his distance. You know, one thing that I find with this car is I'm way, 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 way less afraid of my own car in driving with the FSD, and even when I'm driving. 'Cause it seems like I've just generally become more cautious of a driver. And I just seem to be paying attention to stuff more now with FSD. Like there's things that it does now that I go, oh, I kind of forgot we're supposed to do that. Anyway, I can't even remember what I was talking about, but yeah. Anyway, we're going down Highway 522 here. It'll come back to me. Oh yeah, now I remember what I was saying about. I'm way less worried about my car's action on the road now with the FSD versus when a human is driving. I mean, it sounds crazy, but that's the kind of level of confidence that I have in FSD now. I've driven almost 9,000 miles on this car, and goodness sakes, I bet you 90% of it has been FSD, and it is very rare that it ever messes up. But it does mess up, and that's why when they say unsupervised or supervised, they mean it. You can't let your guard down with full self-driving supervised. And I've mentioned in previous videos that, you know, you have a couple spots in your drive. You have the beginning of the drive and the end of the drive that need to be more intricate, generally with finding your destinations and getting going. But there's, like right now, there's these long spots in the middle that, you know, they're kind of boring actually. Nice no signal lane change there of the Acura in front of us. So that's the kind of stuff where FSD just, it's never going to fail you. It's always going to signal. In fact, it signals too much, but I suppose it's always better to err on the side of caution of too much signaling. Now 65 miles an hour, I think that's where I have it set. Yeah, 65 is where I have it set. This is a 60 mile an hour zone. I feel pretty confident going 5 miles over, even though the State Patrol did have someone pulled over back there. So up here in about a mile, we do have one of these pinch points. Now, I don't think traffic is busy enough this morning on a Saturday that it's going to be an issue at all. You know, I drink a lot of coffee. See that. And my doctor said some time ago, you need to start drinking a little less coffee. And I just told him, thanks for the advice. Probably not going to happen. So speed limit 55 here, interesting. Does it pick it up? Yes, it did pick it up in the display. My max is still set at 65 here though, so I would expect that to have reduced. I do have a car coming up behind me on the left here. See if I can get him on the camera. This guy coming up behind me on the left. We'll see if he tries to cause a pinch point here or not. This is one of the pinch points. He backed off. FSD drives with that confidence now that happens more often than it used to happen. Like when I first got the car, it was on version 12, and the Tesla just drove around like Bambi, like it was just afraid of everything. Just And it would create situations where it would create uncertainty with other drivers on what they were supposed to do, because we've all seen those drivers on the road. You're just not sure if they know what lane they're in, if they're supposed to be turning here, and they're just, wobbling in the road a little bit. That was version 12 FSD. And after version 13 in early spring this year, that is gone. This car drives with confidence now that probably than most drivers drive with. I lost one of my high school friends on this road decades and decades ago. This was, and still is at some level, known as a very, very dangerous highway. And they've done a lot of work. They've put rumble strips between the lanes. They've split it into 4 lanes in many spots. The road was very narrow. There were trees right on it. So in the wintertime, you had a lot of icing problems. This would have been back in the 80s. When I first started driving, this was a pretty dangerous strip of road to drive on for a long time. It has gotten much, much better now. I don't know, I guess it would have been, what it would have been, the late 90s, early 2000s. They came through and they just widened it, made 4 lanes. They made it a pretty nice road. Still has its dangerous spots though. Yeah, lost a really good friend, classmate, really, really cool guy. I think that was, I don't know, in the late 80s maybe, early 90s. So long ago, I can't remember now. Pretty sad. Really, really nice young man that had a lot of things to do in his life, from an amazing family. So up here in a few, it splits off to one of the 4 lanes that I was just talking about. And actually, I haven't driven FSD to the dentist. I haven't been to the dentist since I've had this car. And so, okay, so it stayed in the left lane. That's new. I've driven with FSD down this road a lot, and it usually immediately wants to duck into that right lane. Okay, we got a red light up here. Now it should see that red light and start braking. And now it's starting to reduce speed. I really just think that should happen earlier. It's not necessary to come into the intersections as hot as it does. And I mean, I know it's fine. It never almost hits anybody. It's never emptying, although it did earlier on Highway 2, it emptied my seat. But, it does it okay, but it just, you're trying to mimic a human driver as close as you can with all the safety and confidence of AI in the camera system. So, you're trying to get as close to natural as possible. Because at some point, especially when you're talking about cybercab, and you expect people to ride in these things, you actually expect that experience has to be really, really close to being human for people to really be comfortable. Like, I've watched some of the Waymo videos of their taxis. Does not drive human at all. It seems unconfident, seems questionable on what it's doing, like it's not quite sure. Now I have noticed that when there have been times, oh boy, that boy just cut that guy off in front of me. I have noticed when there are times that it does hang out in this left lane. It's generally when no one's coming up behind me. If someone comes up behind you, it's like it knows to get over. In fact, we have a car slowly inching up behind us right now. Not fast, but he is definitely closing the gap. Now, when we get down to the bottom of this hill where the Highway 9 522 interchange is, you actually want to be in this left lane because you have Highway 9 traffic merging onto 522 in this right lane, and that can be a lot. So, like right now, it decides to go. The car came up too far behind us. Now it snaps over into this right lane. Yeah, it again, probably the right thing to do. You have a car coming up behind us, around us, and now that VW can get around us and get on their way. But as we come around this corner, we go through a little bit of an S turn here. Generally, this thing is going to want to be in that left lane for a little bit. Traffic does not look too bad this morning, though, so it probably will be fine. Probably will be fine. You know, another thing that's strange, I find myself driving in this thing with no climate control on regularly. I don't know what the deal is. If it's because in an electric vehicle you don't have so much heat generated underneath the car, under the floorboards, and just, the whole car is like saturated from running gear of heat. You just don't have that in an EV. So it seems like the temperature of the car just stays more moderate. Like it can be a fairly sunny day, even with the full glass roof. It doesn't cook you out of here. I find way less need actually to run the air conditioning in this car with a full glass roof, which is pretty strange. So it looks like it's doing good here. It needs to be in this lane up around this corner in about a half a mile to exit. And that's where I'll have to really pay attention to what it's doing. And that's where this drive gets a little dicey depending on how busy it is. There's a series of weird intersections. There's a series of turns that you got to make. Lane merges. You got to be in the right lane or you end up at another lane merge. So here it's exiting 522. There, that was a good back off on the accelerator, getting the speed right. Okay, needs to be in this left lane. That's so far so good. It just drives with so much confidence, though. Holy cow, it is something else. It finally feels, after version 13, it actually feels like the car is actually thinking now instead of just like following a mapped route. It really seems like now the AI is involved in like the feel of the driving. Like if a car comes up behind you too fast, it'll scoot over in the lane. That kind of stuff. And it does it long before the car is on your bumper riding you. It like senses that car coming up and just knows that it needs to get over. So here we go. We're going to make a left turn here. Lane pickup is important from here on out in this drive. So far, that turn doesn't look like it's that busy today, which is, I suppose, good. Oh boy, here we're getting into some more traffic. Okay. So far, so good. It needs to go through this first intersection, and it needs to make a left turn at the second one. But see where all these cars are lined up in this, uh, these two lanes actually make this left turn. Both lanes do. But you notice how all the cars are lined up in this left lane. Well, that's because this turns into another pinch point up here, and you want this thing to be in that left lane of these two, which it did perfectly. Very impressed, Tesla. Holy cow. That is great. And it could have easily went around that Honda minivan in front of us because that second lane was completely empty, and a human driver probably would have done that. It would have just went zoop, zipped around that minivan and got to the front of that second turn lane. But then you're trapped in this merge. Now it's got to make a turn right here into the parking lot. And again, doesn't look like it's having any issues whatsoever. None. Yeah, very impressed. Okay, drops us right here. Yeah, so let's see. Let's check its parking, see how it does. We're gonna have it do the parking. There you go, 3-point to get better lined up. It was a little tight. The spot that I picked is a little tight. And there it is. Boy, it just really just fit right in there like a glove. Well, it made it to the dentist, and that means I have to go get my teeth cleaned, which I secretly really enjoy. Don't tell anybody. A lot of people are afraid to go to the dentist. I actually quite enjoy it, getting my teeth cleaned. You know, the other stuff, you can keep it. Anyway, this has been a good drive. Tesla 2, or the full self-driving 13.2.9, very, very confident. Seems even more confident than 13.2.8. Seem to have less lane drift, and again, very, very confident drive. So, look, if this is just a new channel, just getting started, I just do this for fun. I'm not doing this to be a rich YouTube guy. I just like sharing my experiences with folks on a car that and a technology that I'm actually pretty proud of. Actually, what has been built here by Tesla, and what they're doing for the world as far as emissions and what have you. So hey, if you like the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. There's more videos, obviously, when there's more to talk about, like when there's FSD updates. So sometimes videos can be a few and far, they can be a little bit in between the different videos. It's been a minute since the last one. So anyway, like the video and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next video.